Good evening, and welcome to the City of Opa-locka, great City of Opa-locka, regular commission meeting. Tonight is April 13th, 2022, 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
I'm here.
Commissioner Dominguez. Here. Vice Mayor Taylor,
Here.
Mayor Williams.
Here. Commissioner Dominguez, invocation followed by a pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Padre Santo y Padre bueno, vengo delante de tu presencia para presentar a estos miembros de la comisión y los miembros de la ciudad. Señor, yo te pido que todo lo que se haga hoy sea en el nombre tuyo y que no haya conflicto con nada, Señor. Te pido todo esto, Señor, en el nombre poderoso de Jesús. Amén.
This is definitely not to vote up and down.
Madam Clerk, do we have any awards, proclamations, or acknowledgements?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Do we have any pulls, deferrals, or deletions from the consent agenda? Hearing none? Yeah, okay. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dominguez. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-0.
okay. Need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dominguez. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Need a motion to approve the ARPA workshop minutes for February 22nd, 2022.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Taylor. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. I need a motion to approve the Joint Charter Review Board Workshop Meeting Minutes for February 22nd, 2022.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Taylor. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Need a motion to approve the regular commission meeting minutes for March 23rd, 2022.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Taylor. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any District 1 or District 2 County Commissioner reports?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any public presentations?
Yes, Madam Mayor. We have a public presentation from Allison Abel, Director of Marketing, Greenfields Fitness.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. You can step up to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Allison, and I'm with Greenfields Outdoor Fitness. We had the pleasure of meeting several of you at the FBC Leo conference last month, and I'm very thankful to be invited to be able to present about Greenfields Outdoor Fitness. For those of you that may not be familiar, we make outdoor gyms with a special focus on making exercise in public spaces multi-generational and inclusive of those of all abilities, so that it becomes not just something that promotes health in the community, but it actually brings the community and the neighborhoods closer together and strengthens those social ties. So I have a quick video, if we could play that right now.
We're faced with challenges, more so than ever before. Physical health and mental health are at greater risk. We want to help, but how? What if we designed our open spaces to truly serve everyone in our communities? What if we leverage all they can do for families, friends, and neighbors? What if we made fitness everything it should be? A way to not just make our bodies healthier, but also a way to connect with nature and connect with each other. It's time fitness had no barriers to entry. Time for it to be enjoyed together by everyone. Designed to serve people for whom it's already a lifestyle and people who are just beginning their fitness journeys. Let's make the places we strengthen our physical health the same places we boost our mental health. Let's turn the fitness journey into something that's challenging, yet approachable, accessible for those of all abilities, and transform fitness into an easy part of our lives. Something as natural as, well, a walk in the park. Let's take fitness to the people and start promoting wellness and fighting obesity, one community at a time.
Greenfields has worked with many municipalities in the area. We've done quite a few gyms with the city of Miami, as well as Miami-Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach County, lots of cities within those limits. And what we've seen is that this is something that seems to be very valued and appreciated and used by the community. I recently visited a brand new gym right on the water in Miami a few weeks ago, and we had fantastic feedback, and we see that it becomes something that the community embraces, and it truly does benefit their quality of life. So having said this, we have actually done one gym in the city of Opa-locka at Magnolia Park quite a while back. And we would love the opportunity to partner with you on more projects. If you have anything in mind that we could assist with, I would love the opportunity for us to work with you to bring these amenities to the residents of Opa-locka to benefit their health and quality of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We did meet in Kissimmee with, well, I think it was another rep that,
Sam Mendelson.
yes.
Yes.
And he did inform us about the equipment at Magnolia Park. And so grateful that we can make this connection. And again, because I know that was over 10 years ago. So to have that connection to come back and make this presentation, we know that health and fitness is important. And when I saw the video before, I thought it was absolutely something that we, need, especially I need in my life. So, but thank you for your presentation. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Bass?
I was very pleased to see that there were equipment for those that are in the wheelchair, those that are disabled will be able to utilize a park like that as the rest of us. That's really good.
Yes, that is something we do emphasize because those with physical disabilities are especially at risk for obesity just because of their unique challenges and of course those related health concerns.
Madam Mayor,
Vice Mayor Taylor?
I just love the whole overall presentation. We met in Kissimmee, and the same thing I told you then, it's the same thing I told you now. I like the fact, like my colleague said, that you involve everyone. I love that saying, taking fitness to the people. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that presentation to Opa-locka.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Madam Clerk, can you please read the rules for participation for Citizens Forum into record?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. City of Opa-locka Commission meetings are held in person at Shabandi Village Auditorium, 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. And at this time, Madam Mayor, I do not have any virtual participants under Citizens Forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens Forum is open.
Natasha Irvin, 670 Dunat Avenue. I'm pissed, and that's a word I don't use too often. I think about one employee specifically, Sharon, got fired for speaking to a commissioner, to Commissioner Burke to be exact. That lady sent emails. This lady lost everything she had to move in with others, and nobody did nothing. Guess because that's day to day. That's what will be said. But Ray Charles can see what's going on up here. Somebody up here is corrupt. Somebody up here is corrupt because it's the smelly, it's here. And I have to ask the FDLE, the FBI, the state attorney's office, the state of Florida, Miss Melinda, Carl Ross, somebody has to help us with this situation. Because we all worried about people that quit, people get fired and all this kind of stuff. But nobody was worried about the 4 employees, regular employees that quit out of Parks and Rec because there was absolutely nothing going on. And they felt bad coming here every day doing absolutely nothing. Because at the end of the day, it's stealing. To come here and do absolutely nothing, it's stealing. It's ridiculous. And most of all, because talking to you guys ain't going to really help. The residents of Opa-locka have to step up. Y'all have to step up. Because that's where we have to be, well, that's where we have to get our help from. 3 or 4 of us can't do it. We can't do it. We need all the residents to help us clean up our city, like really clean up our city. We do. Because there's something's going on up here and it ain't right. It don't look right. It don't smell right. My mama told me a long time ago, one rotten apple in the bunch would ruin the whole bunch. Don't let that one rotten apple ruin y'all. Some of y'all have good hearts. It's hard for me to group y'all all together. But it's something nasty going on here. It's nasty. It's horrible. We have a newbie in the audience tonight. She said she had to come and see for herself because she saw it on TV and her mouth just dropped. I said, yeah, it's true, baby. It's true. It get worse. We fire people for doing things that are ethically wrong. Whew. We hire them right back. Wow. That's all of y'all, all the good apples up here should have felt, y'all should know who y'all bad apple are. Y'all should have felt like we were bamboozled and hoodwinked or however you say it.
Thank you.
My 3 minutes is up?
Yes.
I didn't even hear the buzzer. Thank you for allowing me my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Roberts, 640 Dunat Avenue. We was paying a PR person $218,000 from August to January. When we changed city managers, conveniently, they terminated their contract. I wonder why. We have y'all assistant city manager, I don't have to call no names, everybody know who it is, bamboozle some people, pleaded guilty, have to pay a $500 fine, and y'all brought them back here. And here's the documents to prove that. Really, y'all? Really? Y'all have somebody sitting in the audience, y'all hired back too. We lost $1 million on a bad deal, 2 bad deals that he had. 2 bad deals, not 1, 2 bad deals. And nobody says nothing. But everybody say, take your 3 minutes and go. Let me say this to everybody on the dais. I just look like this. This stops here to y'all. When you file complaints with Miami-Dade County, that plays with people's careers. We have one person on the dais, he don't care, know why? Because he can't even pass the teacher's test to become a teacher. He have a contract.
Thank you. Thank you. We're not going to insult.
That's facts.
We're not going to do that.
That's facts.
Thank you.
That's facts.
Thank you.
That's facts.
Thank you.
That's facts.
Do we yeah, do we have a sergeant at arms? Like what? Because this is the we can't personal.
And then
no.
y'all get mad. Y'all don't like what people say. That's what y'all do
No, it's
every
not
day.
that, but you get.
That's what y'all do every day.
Thank you. Chris, Commissioner
Step out the
Davis,
door.
don't worry. Chief, please, we need a sergeant at arms.
You sissy, don't play with me. I'll wait.
You know what I'm doing?
I ain't got to come to your house.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, that's,
so what you all do have rules of procedure that deal with time, place, and manner. You would be, if things are out of order, that is something that you as the mayor can stop with the assistance of whatever law enforcement is available.
well, that's,
For that one meeting. I'm sorry.
We're going to take a recess. Thank you. Recess. The meeting. Madam Clerk, please read again into record the rules of citizens forum. Mr. City Manager, can we please have a sergeant at arms in this meeting? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Please read it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll go ahead and read City of Opa-locka Code of Ordinance Section 2-58, which is the decorum policy. Any person making impertinent or slanderous remarks or who become boisterous while addressing the commission shall be declared to be out of order by the presiding officer and shall be barred from further audience before the commission by the presiding officer, unless permission to continue or again address the commission be granted by the majority vote of the commission members. And again, that's City of Opa-locka Code Section 2-58.
Thank you. Citizens forum is open.
Lamar Cruz, 21001 Northwest 31st Avenue. Well, Lamar Cruz, 13831 24th Avenue, Opa-locka. That's the one I got addressed. Okay, I have two issues that I like to address. One issue about the alleyways. I brought it up before and someone said that I guess in their particular alleyway it was clean, but the alleyways still, the guys run through them and leave trash in the alleyways like it's no problem. And I guess that's only in particular areas because of, I guess if I did work for the city and I was being a sham, I probably would clean up around you guys' area and not around the rest of the residents. But around my particular area, the alleyways stay dirty and when they run through it, they just weedy, leave trash in the alleyway and go about their business. Another issue is, and I heard the guy, I don't know if he's here today again to address Cairo Lane. It was addressing that y'all were spending so much money to get Cairo Lane cleaned up and organized. It's still a big pothole in Cairo Lane on the street itself. My truck just fell in it. Instead of me trying to file a report and sue the city or anything, I just felt necessary to come up here and address the issue. I have pictures and everything to show right in the street. There's no cone. I went through there today. There's no cones or nothing covering the pothole or nothing. I called, it was addressed to call the city and address the issue, but nobody went by. And it's still a pothole till this day with no cones or with nothing over it. I don't know the people, if they're here today, I like to address them personally that they're just ripping off the city because it makes no sense. Unless somebody else is in charge of making sure that the potholes have a cone or thing, then I guess it's on y'all. I guess y'all have to, city manager have to get somebody out there or something. I hope we have peace in the city of Opa-locka. I hope for peace, man. We need it.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission staff. I publicly apologize to my neighbor because he said he wasn't coming back to any of the meetings, but I think it was misinformation. I'm glad to see he's here. Hopefully the dais, along with the elected officials, really completed the 305 survey. Good information. I want to bring to your attention, I think next time I'm going to bring it on the public presentation because I don't want to take my 3 minutes trying to give y'all information. The Peace and Prosperity Plan, Miami-Dade County was awarded $90 million to implement in 19 years. I have a whole list of things I would have said on it, but I'm not going to do that. I think you all need to have your staff do some research on that and bring back any fruitful information that would help the city. Hopefully someone has passed on the information about the integrity group to city managers before, explained to the commission that that company was vetted and there was an opportunity for y'all to piggyback. So I hope we don't lose money with the change of different managers. Now I'm more disturbed, but I know how to put it in perspective. I remember former city manager Pate stating his concern about interfering with day-to-day operation. I'm going to highly suggest to the commission, the last meeting, some of you all said how you felt about things that were not explained to you. That is a gray line that I strongly encourage you not to mention on the dais. You have a resolution for a PR. I'm going to strongly suggest that in your PR are multiple ways of how to get the information to reach the community at large, be elaborated or stated in the PFR, RPF. I'm just, whew. You also have a resolution for a strategy plan. Now, I've sit here for months and see y'all go over your priority list. I don't understand it. I don't think we have money like that. It's the same people except for one. What can someone explain what a strategy plan versus your priority plan that you all went over and over? I've noticed that sometime when you are speaking on the mic in the meeting, the mic is away from you and it's not capturing everything that you're stating. So be very cautious with that, and maybe your IT people can help you with that. I think that at this point, we all need to be respectful to each other. And we all need to make sure that we are decision that you're making, that you will leave a great legacy for others to follow. I'm just disturbed. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you. Citizens forum is open. Citizens forum is closed. Item 15A1, Madam Attorney, can you please read the agenda item into record?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving the final site plan review request for construction of a 5-story, 98-unit residential building that includes 10 live-work units and 196 parking spaces at approximately 13800 Northwest 22nd Avenue within the city, identified by folios 08-2122-011-0240, 08-2122-011-0250, 08-2122-011-0260, and 08-2122-011-0310 in the B2 zoning district and within the corridor mixed use overlay district, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Can I have a motion to move and discuss agenda item 15A1?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Dominguez.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open for agenda item 15A1.
Madam Mayor, Honorable Board, Robert Holland with offices at 3250 Northeast First Avenue, Miami, Florida, Suite 334. I'm here on behalf of the Mosaic development that's being proposed here. Most of you may be aware that this property already has, as a matter of right, the ability to develop with 100 and I think 105 or 104 units and 96 parking spaces. My client purchased the property and they're seeking to go from 4 stories to 5 stories to increase the parking on the site. So now we're looking at less than what was already approved for the site, the 104. We're looking at 98 units and 196 parking spaces to make sure that there's more than enough parking for the site. So we think we've kind of listened to the council over the course of months. We know there's been issues with parking. And so as opposed to developing what could be done as a matter of right, we've attempted to come in with something that's different to enhance the parking abilities. The original development also was a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms. This is a mix of 2 bedrooms with a den and 3 bedrooms with a den, with 10 what they call live workspaces that will be regulated obviously by the city on the type of live workspaces that could be developed there, whether it's somebody's doing something minor like some tax returns or call center, whatever from their home, they'll be able to do that from this facility. The other thing, try not to tap a lot of your time because this is an improvement from what has already been approved by you. But we've also listened to some of the concerns that you've had, and I've spoken to some of you individually over time with some of the things that you want to do to try to make sure that new developments have a higher standard of appreciation for Opa-locka with their maintenance. So also in the development agreement, which is the companion item, in addition to the language that your staff has already had in there that deals with the job placements through career sources, the job fairs, the advertising for that, we've added a number of other things that hopefully other developers as they come into the city on the residential side will consider to offer to you as well. We agreed to paint the building no less than every 10 years. We agreed to repair all roof leaks within 3 weeks from the time of notice in writing, whether it's by the tenant or the municipality. No derelict vehicles. That means all inoperable vehicles or cars with expired tags have to be removed from this premise. They cannot be stored there. All tenants shall be registered with the property manager. So only those tenants that are on that lease are allowed to live on this property. Landscaping shall be performed in no more than 3-week intervals. Landscaping shall be maintained at the standard that's included in the approved site plan, which means if for any reason the grass dies, they have to replace the grass. If a tree dies, they have to replace the tree. So you make sure that this property maintains this landscaping going forward. As you can look around in your city and many other cities, developments go in very pretty, and over time that stuff erodes and nobody has any fight to go back and tell them to do it. They have an obligation going forward, and your development agreement is a 30-year term. And all that landscaping has to be remedied within 45 days of notice to them. All units shall have uniform window treatment, so you won't have all this mirage of window treatments on the facilities. The landlord is required to make sure it's all uniform. No hanging of laundry or personal effects from exterior terraces, balconies, etc. Those are strictly prohibited. All units shall be repainted, repaired, and cleaned prior to new tenancy. And also, if you have a tenant who's been there for 5 straight years, that unit has to be repainted and all that stuff, just like those units that are being released. What typically happens is somebody's there for a while, that unit never gets revisited in most of the residential or multifamily residential facilities. We're requiring that every 5 years, even if you've been in there for 5 years, it gets redone. No loud music or noises, they're strictly prohibited after 10 p.m. And the landlord has to monitor that as well. All tenants shall be properly registered, as I mentioned before. Any tenants convicted of a felony during their tenancy shall be strictly prohibited from having their tenancy extended. Doesn't mean that they can't have a felony record in before, but if you come onto this property and you're convicted of anything while you're there, then you can't have that tenancy extended. Gambling, drug sales, drug usage, any criminal activity is strictly prohibited on the grounds. And if the landlord has knowledge of it, knowledge, and officers will tell you, knowledge can be imputed. If it's something that is so regularly that happens and the landlord knows that, then it is a violation to the landlord as well. Property owners shall maintain an exterior camera system for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with at least a 60-day cloud, so that whenever something happens on the exterior of those grounds, the police department has access to be able to get that information. The property shall contract with and ensure trash collection services and provide the appropriate size containers and make sure those areas are sanitized. Sometimes what happens to save a few dollars, you have a smaller trash receptacle and these things are not dumped on a regular basis and you have trash all over the place. And so we're trying to make sure you don't have that issue from this development as well. And the property shall make sure that the grounds of the development in the building are free of debris, graffiti, and loitering at all times. So we've tried to listen to some of the concerns you've had to make sure that my client is obligated as they go forward for a 30-year period. Even if they sell this property, whoever comes in has that same obligation to maintain this. And as we start doing this one building at a time, we start to improve the look of the city and make it something everybody feels comfortable coming home to. And again, as most of you all know, there is a housing shortage. Everybody cannot afford single-family homes right now. It's becoming almost to the point it's pricing African Americans out of the market. And so we have to look at different building types or housing types to be able to make sure that we have people who can stay in our communities in a very comfortable way. So we've attempted to do this with this development. And as I've always promised you, when I come to you, I try to make sure at least I bring something to you that you can be proud of and that you can hold people's feet to the fire on long term. So that is what we're proposing for this. Again, more than 100 additional parking spaces. The only reason we're going up to requesting to go up to 5 stories, which we're allowed to go even greater than that. We're only asking to go up that 1 extra story to create additional parking spaces so that you don't have excess parking outside of the property. If you have any questions for me, I make myself available for those questions.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Madam Mayor, I would like to have Director Gay come up and give us the commission some more explanation on the
Okay,
project.
thank
on the
you.
item.
Mayor, members of the commission, Gregory Gay, Director of Planning and Community Development. These 2 particular items are companion items that was presented before you. The first item is dealing with the site plan, which has already been explained. It is a 5-story, 98-unit development with a mixture of 2 bedrooms and 1 and 3-bedroom units, along with 10 live-work units. The 10 live-work units that came about because of this is being in a mixed-use zoning area, which will allow for commercial as well as residential development. This particular development is going to have 196 parking spaces, which well exceeds what the parking requirements would be for this particular type of development. As it relates to the specifics, I think the attorney has pretty much covered a lot of those particular items. As it relates to the development agreement, which is a companion item, they did proffer a number of things relating to the maintenance and upkeep of the property itself, in addition to what we normally request as it relates to making the project accessible for the people that reside within the Opa-locka community, as well as if there are any job opportunities that they be created from the construction phase, as well as the management and upkeep phase for the property. This was presented before the Planning and Zoning Board. It was recommended for approval and was voted on for approval, and staff also recommends approval for the site plan as well as the development agreement. If you have any questions, I'll address them at this time.
Is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open.
Dottie Johnson, 13724 Northwest 22nd Place, as a new member on the Planning and Zoning board, I would like to bring up a couple of suggestions, which I can share with Robert. I know him very well. He worked with me when as the chair of the Hampton House, so I know him very well. Annual inspection hopefully is a part of what we are talking about and it's documented. The 5-story, what I would like to suggest, since we are in a air restricted area, to make sure that it is in compliance with FAA. Security on property, you may have it, just to make sure you know the things that we're going through now with security for us not to provide it. Another thing that I've noticed being on the commission, pest control. How often do they do it and when is it done? When is it done? And this element today, I think it's very crucial to have a Whistle Act policy in all of our housing, because people will tell you things, but they don't want to be a part of it. You know how our community, I say something, see something, say something. It's just for some people, it's not going to happen. So anyway, I'm speaking to the attorney through the commission. Anyway, those things can be incorporated or thought about. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we would have a problem with any sort of whistleblower policy that you guys can come up for residential programs. I think that helps everybody. As it relates to the pest control, we do that, but I think if we wanted to commit to every 3 months that they do the pest control, tenants need to understand when they send you the notice and you don't respond, they do open your place up to go in to do the pest control. Some people get offended by that, but that's how it works. Because when that pest control comes out, he doesn't come back, oh, I'm gonna do this one unit and leave and come back another. They come out and they go unit by unit by unit. And so sometimes that has caused some wrinkles. The other thing that I failed to mention to you is that these units will also be pre-marketed first in the city of Opa-locka before they go anywhere else. And so the first 6 months of pre-marketing will take place in Opa-locka. We have no problem posting it on your website as well if you guys have accommodations for that. But that's at least trying to make sure people of Opa-locka who are here have the chance to upgrade some of their housing situations if they want to first.
Thank you. Public hearing.
I'd like to make a comment, not just basically pertaining to the building itself, but a comment I just want to spread out to all of us to say and think about. I deal with Andrew Frisk. I deal with a lot of guys who run apartment buildings, run a lot of businesses and run a lot of big things, like 180. Andrew Frisk owns 180 properties. And what he was telling me, he said something which is true, which I heard him say. I'm an ex-felon. I just want everybody to know that. I'm an ex-felon. I've been out 20 years. I take care of so many kids in this community. I own 3 properties myself, and I'm doing damn good, just to say, God be with me. And I'd say because I believe in the right God compared to the rest of them. And I make sure the kids in the community know I take care of them. I take them to Disney World. I just came back from Disney World, took 15 kids and spent my money on them. But I'm gonna say this, and Andrew Frisk and these white Jews, they say that Miami itself in a little bit ain't gonna have too many of us in here because we keep on saying the ex-felons. We keep on saying they can't be in certain communities. They can't be in certain housing developments. And this is true. So what it's doing is pushing them out. North Carolina, if anybody been studying right now, they've been pushing them out of there because 75% of us got somebody in our family, either our boyfriend, our girlfriend, or somebody in our family that's an ex-felon. So you can't stay in a lot of these developments. So eventually what's gonna happen, you got to go and a new crew gonna come in. And the new crew that's coming in, they don't care if they people ex-felons. Some of them come from across the country, straight out of jail. I know a man was on a Miami-Dade force, 30-some years. He told me, he said, guess what, Mr. Cruz? He said, I'm getting ready to retire. But I came out of Cuba and I was a felon. But did they know? No, they didn't know. Because I came with a clean state. And he retired off the force. We should think about that there. And all these new developments, we should think, consider the people. Everybody got to change the book that everybody say they believe. So you're supposed to do what? Forgive and let back. But everybody say they believe, but they say the ex-felons got to go. I don't know what book we believe in.
Citizens forum is open. Public input is closed. Any discussion from the commission? Commissioner Bass, I believe you had a question.
Actually, thank you. I was gonna ask him about the security, but Lady Justice mentioned it. That was a concern of mine because I did not hear about it.
It will be a restricted community as far as how you get in and out of it. There won't be any roaming security because you don't have enough economy of scale to justify that. But because you have the camera system and all the other stuff in place, you'll have real-time feed of anything that's going on the property.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Maybe could you refresh
I
my
cannot hear
memory
you.
or our memory? I think we had a provision for apartment complexes or housing complexes, X amount of residents, they were supposed to be security officers 24 hours. We voted on that about 2018, 19 maybe. I don't know who can recall, but we did.
I don't, if that is your policy and that's required, then
It
obviously
is.
we have to meet whatever's required if that's what's in there.
Mhm.
But we will have the ability to have roving security from other properties to be able to come in, but probably not just dedicated strictly there unless that's something that's in your policies that's required.
If I'm not mistaken, it is.
Mr. Gay, can you speak on that or?
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, I do recall that there was some legislation, I would want to say it was in 2020,
Something, yeah.
that we were looking at a lot of the multifamily residential properties and the number of units that they had. And there was a recommendation to have a certain amount of security in place relating to the number of units.
Mhm.
If my memory serves me correct, if your development was over 40 units, you were to have a certain amount of security guards on site based on that particular number. I don't have that legislation in front of me at this moment. We'll see if we can pull out the specific numbers and we'll work with them and let them know what that information is in relationship to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
It was closed.
Sponsored the
Yeah.
legislation, myself and former Mayor and Vice Mayor Joseph Kelly. And the intent behind the item was to really increase security and public safety within our larger size multifamily complexes. So I forget the number of units, but there's a threshold in place, and ultimately multifamily complex that fall within that threshold are subject to those guidelines. The question I had to Mr. Holland was relative to the units. How many is it affordable or market rate?
All workforce.
Workforce housing.
Workforce housing.
So what's the general, what's the AMI, like what's the peak and the bottom?
Now, that I couldn't tell you, but whatever the county
For
has of
earnings.
that is what we have to be at in order for workforce housing.
Okay, so we're basically mirroring the county's scale for workforce housing?
Yes.
Okay,
And if there is a security requirement based on your code or whatever you have in there, we'll obviously have to meet it. You notice we didn't come for any variances. We didn't request any variance. So whatever we have to meet, we'll work with your staff to make sure we meet that.
okay. And I think this will be, if I'm correct, one of the first workforce housing projects within our community. I know we do a lot of market rate and affordable and ultimately some hybrid, kind of models that include both. But I think this is the first time, at least in my 3 years of service, that I've seen a workforce project, come before our desk. Given that, obviously Opa-locka is a community is the community with the highest poverty rate out of the 34 municipalities that represent Miami-Dade County. I guess, do you guys see it as a good fit? Considering the fact that the earnings within our community are typically lower than, our neighbors.
Well, what typically happens with housing when you're trying to accommodate folk who may not be making certain amounts of money is greater density. And that's the reason you're trying to go vertical, because you just can't go sometimes even townhomes and say, not that you can't do townhomes and single family homes, but there's a bigger market right now to be able to accommodate folk in more vertical construction. And that way you it's the economies of scale again, you're spreading that cost out to make that work. And so we think the market is there. With all honesty, as everybody knows, there's such a housing shortage. People are trying to find places to go. Since COVID, you have so many folk who have moved here from the north, who've kind of sold their places there, and you see the real estate market, single family shooting out the roof on that. Yeah. So the only way you can accommodate is by doing some of these multifamily developments. And as I've always suggested to all of you, do it with the covenants and the restrictions, at least give yourself some protection that they maintain long-term.
Okay, thank you. And can you just briefly speak to, I've heard the director, Mr. Gay, mention in a developer agreement that I guess there were items for maintenance and upkeep that is associated with the property, as well as job opportunities in the construction phase, as well as the management phase of the property. Can you just, I guess, talk about that a little more, give a little more details, because I don't think I heard that in your presentation.
Well, all of your development agreements require that. So we're going to meet all of those requirements. My clients have typically hired out of the area anyway, as it relates to some of the management. The other thing is we'll always, again, all the job fairs, all that stuff will be done in Opa-locka, pushing to try to get people from Opa-locka to work, even on the construction side. It is much easier to get someone to work close to a site than them having to come across town to do it. I had a similar issue with my son working at a ice cream parlor on Miami Beach for minimum wage. I was like, congratulations on the job. But every day you go there and you want to pay for parking or Uber there, catch it, look, all of your money is spent in transportation, son. You're not really making, but so that's why it's so important to have those jobs in the community that people can actually, if they have to walk there or ride a bike there, whatever it means, or catch a quick ride, it's easy to get to work when we're creating the jobs here. And as I've said to the manager, getting your website to the point where people can know to go onto your website and know, here are the jobs that are coming in this community. Here's where you apply to, and that you guys are helping to create these opportunities. I think that's very, very important to have that site very active with the jobs that will be coming in here.
Thank you. And I do agree. I think we could do a better job as far as marketing and ensuring that our residents is getting this information and to take full advantage of these sort of opportunities. But thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Holland, quick question. You mentioned pre-marketed first to before it, I guess about 6 months, you said. Do you have an idea what that pre-market rate would be?
We don't know I don't know what the pricing would be. What the process would be is, again, as I did with the Prologis, I'm instructing the client to kind of go with an African-American or Hispanic firm out of the area that kind of knows the barber shops, the beauty salons, the businesses, to get that information out in those places so people know here where the jobs are that we're hiring, here what the apartments are if you want to apply. So that information goes out in the community first versus in some newspaper where you may put it out, or a realtor magazine. We want to try to target it to the community first so that everybody in this community has the first option. You can even put it on your website. We can make it available for first responders or city staff, whoever it is. So at least people in the area see it first. But it's a way of making sure that the messaging is directed to people of the community so they know this message really is about me. It's not just some general blanket message that's out there about a job or about a residential place.
Okay.
So we'll make it very targeted for that purpose.
And the reason I ask is, I recall a similar development by Sailboat Cove, and they marketed a few units at market rate, and those units were over $2,000 a month. And then the remainder of, actually, I think it was about $2,400 per month. And the remainder of those units were workforce housing. And I was appalled, I mean, personally speaking frank, because constantly my goal is for the teachers and the police officers and those that, you know, serve the community can be able to buy or be able to afford housing per month. And so that, because of that, that agreement or that, you know, that development that happened, I'm almost sure that no one, unless, you know, you make six figures or really good money, moved in that particular development that can afford $2,400 a month. So that's why I asked, because we say, you know, we're going to market, but I just would like to make sure that we're marketing at a rate where those that can afford it, if that makes sense.
All right, so let me be very honest with you on how rates are established. It's the land costs,
yes,
the building costs. Building costs have gone up about 30%. And so you put all that stuff in, and then you divide by the number of units, and then you have to pay a mortgage back to pay all that stuff back on a monthly basis. And so those rates are dictated by that. If you look nationwide, but particularly Florida, and you see Congresswoman Frederica Wilson is talking about how to get additional subsidies to cities and counties now to try to offset. Many people have run from affordable housing, but affordable housing is not bad housing, especially if you do it with covenants and restrictions. What makes affordable housing is the government is adding money to the pot. They say, if we give you this money, you now have to cap your rents at these levels. When you have developers coming in and they can't get that money, and there's an application process, and some of the big guys who I represent, they know that process well. When you can't get that subsidy to offset it, you have to rent it out at the monies to return on the investment that you owe. And so that's why that market now in Miami Gardens, the same thing, those prices, workforce housing, some others are north of $2,000. But if you go on Brookwood right now, what do they call it? It's not even a 1-bedroom. Studios are going for $2,500 to $2,800 in certain communities, because right now the cost of all that stuff is out the roof. But because we're trying to do the workforce housing, it has to be within that range of what the county has established as that range. And again, over the years, that range has grown because inflation has grown, everything else has grown. So we obviously are trying to come to a market to accommodate what's here and get people in. But I can't sit and tell you it's going to be as affordable housing, because you don't get that subsidy to do that offset. It's just being honest about it.
Yes, I know. That was the answer you gave me before.
But I'll come to you with some affordable housing projects.
I would totally appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Vice Mayor Taylor.
real quick, just to echo my colleague on the fact that this is the first of its kind in Opa-locka, the live work style concept. I was able to actually tour another one in a different municipality, and I thought it was a good idea that you were able to live and work where you lay your head. Also, the other thing that I appreciated about this project is the covenant agreement. And I hope that you all stick to that covenant agreement that you put in place.
I don't ask people to put it in writing unless I want them to stick to it. And I would suggest, as you have developments come in now, you start looking at how do you hold people.
And then that's what I was gonna say. I hope that we can adopt that in our in our city as the covenant agreements going forward for other units and uses as a model. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Manager?
yes, I'd like to state for the record that we have reviewed that ordinance that pertains to security. The threshold is 150 units and Mr. Holland's proposal is only 96 units, so that would not apply to have the roving security.
But I will tell you this, I will work with them to make sure we at least have the roving coming through there between Sailboat Cove and this property, at least try to make sure they have some roving in there. I will work on that for sure. And I'll get back with the manager with some information on that.
All right, thank you. Are there any other discussions from the commission? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
Item 15A2. Madam Attorney?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving a development agreement for the construction of a 5-story, 98-unit residential building that includes 10 live-work units and 196 parking spaces at approximately 13800 Northwest 22nd Avenue, identified by folios 08-2122-011-0240, 08-2122-011-0250, 08-2122-011-0260, and 08-2122-011-0310 in the B2 zoning district and within the corridor mixed use overlay district, providing for a corporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Can I have a motion to move and discuss the agenda item?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dominguez. This is a public input item. Public input is open. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Manager?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to request that Director Gay come to the podium to discuss this item.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, members of the commission, Gregory Gay. Within the development agreement, you will notice that there are a number of bullet points that were added as it relates to the items that were proffered by the development team through their attorney. We've already spoken on them. They basically speak to the management and maintenance of the property going long-term and speaking on specific terms as it relates to how the property is to be upkept over a period of time. Those points are within the development agreement. Those that are not within the development agreement can be added as they were suggested from the previous discussion that you had, and relating to security, we will address those particular concerns within the development agreement itself. This was presented before the Planning and Zoning Board. The Planning and Zoning Board did recommend approval for the development agreement as it was presented at that time. Staff has reviewed the additional information and we proffered that we agree with that as well. And we recommend approval for the development agreement. If you have any questions or concerns, we'll address them.
Always told sometimes just sit down and be quiet, but when we met before the planning board, they did make a request of us to add more shade trees. We've agreed to do that, so that's in the, so I never put that on the record, so at least the planning board recognized that we did listen and respond to them as well. So there are additional shade trees on the property as well.
Any discussion from the commission?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Davis?
thank you. I just have a question because I know that this was a previously approved item from the commission. What sort of changes has taken place between the first, since you guys first submitted for approval, as opposed to now? Like, was it change in ownership, I believe, or if you can, Mr. Holland, if you, through the mayor, if you can speak to just some of the changes that have taken place since first time you guys came before the commission.
Well, this is my first time on this. I guess there was a previous owner that applied and they received, again, 105 units and the 96 parking spaces. So that's why I say they've already come before you for that. And you can actually, whoever buys that land can build that as a matter of right without having to come back before you. When we got it, we recognized 96 parking spaces is probably not enough to make the property a real viable property. And so that's why we asked to go up one story and put parking underneath and in outside of the building, but all within the property.
Okay.
And so that's why you get 196. So that was the difference in the different ownership and a different view of what they think makes it work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Vice Mayor Taylor. Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 15A3, Madam Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving a development agreement for the construction and operation of a self-storage facility on the property located at 12940 Northwest 27th Avenue and the adjacent parcel located at the corner of Northwest 129th Street and Northwest 27th Avenue and identified by folios 08-2128-004-0031 and 08-2128-004-0022 in the B3 district zoning district, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Can I have a motion to move and discuss the agenda item?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
we do have Elizabeth Adler who's on Zoom and she would like to speak under public hearing for 15A3.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Hi, good evening. This is Liz Adler. I'm actually the attorney for the applicant Gateway 2020 LLC. I don't have anything to add. I just wanted you to let you know that I'm here. So if there's any questions that aren't addressed after the city's presentation, I just wanted you to know that I am on the line.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Adler.
Thanks.
Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to request for Mr. Gay, Director of Community Development, to come and present the item.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, Gregory Gay. This is a project that was presented to you approximately 2 years ago, which was actually approved at that particular time for this storage facility. The storage facility is approximately a 5-story structure with parking on the site as well, and with some minor retail relating to the storage facility. The reason this is being brought back before you is that at that particular time when it was approved, there were some changes in ownership, and the changes in ownership needed to be reflected within the development agreement. So we're bringing before you a new development agreement under the new ownership. Basically, one group of owners bought out the other group of owners. So your development agreement reflects that new ownership. As it relates to the detailing of the ownership of the development agreement itself, it still speaks to the minimum requirements that we have for employment opportunities during the construction of the project itself, and at the end of the project as the end user. This is a storage facility. This is at a entry point to the city of Opa-locka, and you would see as far as the illustrations, they really went to the maximum as it relates to continuing to reflect the Moorish architecture that is well known within the city of Opa-locka. If you have any questions or concern, I'll address them.
Madam Mayor,
Vice Mayor Taylor.
Mr. Gay, I'm not familiar with the property. This is the one, I think it used to be a car lot right there,
It is.
right on 20, if you're going north to
Yes,
the left-hand side.
it's two car lots, actually just to the north of Coparts and just to the
Okay.
south of the Wells Fargo Bank building.
And it's 3 stories, self-storage.
It's 3 stories as far as the exterior design, but within the storage areas itself, it has sub-levels. So it's really 5 levels within the storage facility itself, but it is a 3-story structure.
3-story structure with sub-levels and
Correct.
to accommodate the self-storage.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gay.
Mr. Gay,
Madam.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Gay. Thank you. Looking at this is just a resolution to reconsider the application, because usually we normally pass by ordinance, right?
No, this is to approve the development agreement, because we're bringing forward to you a new development agreement. There's another item on here that's to consider a reconsideration.
So this is actually approving.
This is approving the new development agreement associated with the self-storage facility.
Okay. And our zoning code basically allows it because it's not requesting a variance or a special exception.
When this project was initially approved, there were 2 zoning categories, and they actually went through a zoning change for I believe it was the southernmost property, to basically make the zoning consistent. So the zoning was modified to the southern portion to basically make it all a B2 zoning for this particular activity to occur.
Okay.
So that's already been approved.
Okay, Mr. Gay, you said this was already approved. Do you know when? I know you said 2 years ago.
It was approximately 2 years ago. I don't have the exact date or which commission it was.
It was
Oh.
May, if I'm looking at it, Madam Mayor,
Oh,
if
okay.
I may, if I'm looking at it correctly, it said on May 26, 2021, the applicant, 3805 Northwest 132nd Street LLC requested site plan approval, which was granted by the city commission. So that was, I think that was the date.
Thank you. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not in agreement with this. Personally, I believe that, and I understand I'm still gonna vote no. However, giving away, this is prime property. And if we're going to continue to develop storage units and factories and on 27th Avenue, like that's the corridor. This is where our, people come in and out of our city. And we're slapping a storage unit on, I don't even understand that. And I'm totally against this, me personally.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Commissioner Davis?
I'd just like to add this. I really, for one, is not a big fan of, gas stations or pawn stores or liquor stores or so many industrial and commercial type, businesses being developed in our city. However, I do understand that, we have a zoning code and, we ultimately, if anybody, even if you, right, or one of us, if we wanted to develop a property within a city, if the zoning code basically allows it, I think that in essence, puts the city into some liability and could end up in litigation, which is why I tend to, I mean, now if it's a special exception or a variance being requested of us as commissioners, obviously, that's a different scenario. But it appears in this particular instance that, our zoning code basically says that they can, operate a storage facility and that sort of thing. And if they own the property, me personally, I just don't think, even though I don't necessarily agree, I don't think it's a good idea, considering the fact that somewhere down the road, it could potentially put the city in a litigation type situation.
Madam Attorney, can you speak on this, please?
Absolutely, and I wanted to weigh in after everybody kind of had their say, but I do agree with Commissioner Davis, if it is allowed, and I think in this case, staff is recommending it for some of the reasons that he expressed. It is allowed in this zoning district, and the city should, tread carefully in, reviewing items that are allowed by our code. So with that said, if Mr. Gay wants to say anything more.
And let me just add this last tidbit. The project has already been approved. So that part of the process is moving forward. The only thing that has changed is the ownership in relationship to the property, which is why the development agreement is being brought back before you.
Mr. Gay, could you provide just a little bit more clarification for the days for why we're here and what we're asking for them to do?
We're asking for you to approve the development agreement in relationship to this particular site. The project was already previously approved over a year ago. So this is basically to reflect the new ownership that wish to move forward with the development of the storage facility.
And Madam Mayor, we have pulled up that previous resolution. It was approved by this dais by 5-0.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gay. Just in context, my point of it is I understand that the way it is zoned and how its use is, but we do get some type of choice of what we do place on that particular spot. And we just need to do, just be a little bit more diligent. However, thank you, Mr. Gay. However, I wasn't on the board then. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Madam Attorney, item 15.
A4.
A4, thank you.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving the reapplication request of 3805 Northwest 132 Street LLC to rezone property located at 3805 Northwest 132nd Street, Opa-locka, Florida, identified by folio 08-212-010-090 from the I3 zoning district to the I2 zoning district as permitted by section 22-49P of the city's land development regulations pertaining to reconsideration of a previously denied application, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Can I have a motion to move the agenda item? Move it. Moved by Commissioner Bass.
Second for discussion.
Second for discussion by Commissioner Davis. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. My name is Hope Calhoun, Land Development Attorney on behalf of the property owner. This request that's before you is not to consider the rezoning application tonight, but just to set the rezoning hearing. There was a hearing related to this property May of last year. The site plan was approved, the development agreement was approved. by both the Planning and Zoning Board and the City Commission. And the rezoning request failed by a 2-2 vote. So your city code provides that we're allowed to reapply for an application that's been denied, but we have to wait a year to do so. So at this point, I know I'm talking about May of this year, and I'm now here in April, so it's really a month. But in my defense, we've been trying to get this before you and for some time, but due to different reasons, it just didn't get before you before tonight. So again, what I'm asking for tonight is not the rehearing on the rezoning application. I'm requesting that the rezoning application rehearing be set for a future date.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing is open.
I'm glad she stated that on the record. That's one thing I had. My concern in addition is that in the short title, I see nothing alluding about I-2 zoning. And I caution I would like to strongly suggest to the commission to be very cautious, because within the city is a lot of spot zoning, and this is the history of the city. And from the previous staff recommendation, if you go on to Miami-Dade County and you got a building that says 3 stories high and you get in and it's 5, what happened? Just something for you to think about. But the rezoning for the Planning and Zoning Board, in my professional opinion, someone should have caught some of this. And if the board doesn't catch it, I think then the next step is your staff. And I've worked with the attorney. The attorney was an attorney here, so she knows me. She knows I am very detailed. And when it comes to land and development, I only got my learning and whipping in the city of Opa-locka. So I'm just asking you to look at it and to make sure that the rezoning is correct and according to what's on the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. Any discussion from the commission? Mr. Gay, would you like to speak on this item, please?
Mayor and members of the commission, Gregory Gay. As been previously stated, this is basically for reconsideration of this zoning application to come back before you. It was associated with several other items that were associated with the development of this particular site. The site plan was approved, the development agreement was approved, but the rezoning failed by a 2-2 vote. The applicant is aware that they could have waited another month and they could have reapplied for this particular item. But staff has been working with this diligently. We had intentions on having this item brought before you earlier in the year. Unfortunately, it was not able to be scheduled. So we're able to schedule it at this time, and we'd like for this item to be reconsidered. Thank you.
Any questions from the commission? Mr. Gay, question. Is there any particular reason why we do spot zoning, why we change zones from I-3 to I-2? What's the purpose, the rationale behind that?
The zoning for this particular site is presently I-3, and immediately adjacent to it to the north, the property is zone I-2. You are allowed to change your zoning to the adjacent zoning within a given distance requirement. And therefore, if you're able to do that, it is not considered spot zoning. This application is looking at that, where they're changing the zoning from I-3 to I-2. What this particular zoning would allow is that they will be able to construct the recycling facility, which was approved by this commission, but the recycling facility was allowed in the I2 zoning versus the I3 zoning. They moved forward with the application to apply for the zoning change in addition to the approvals of the project itself. The zoning change doesn't, because of the failure of the zoning change, it did not allow for the project to move forward. So as a matter of information, this is not to be considered spot zoning, as you do have a property immediately to the north that is zone I2. So that would be a continuation of the I2 zoning into this particular property.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
Okay. Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. Item 16A1, Madam Attorney.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the annual adopted general proprietary and special revenue funds budgets for a fiscal year commencing October 1, 2021, and ending September 30, 2022, adjusting revenues and expenditures as reflected in Exhibit A, providing for the expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing the city manager to take certain actions, providing for appropriation of all budgets and expenditures, providing for fees consistent with appropriations and amendment, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to move and discuss agenda item 16A1?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Commissioner Davis. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open.
Madam Mayor, please allow me to introduce Mr. Anathan to introduce the item.
Okay, let me close public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Manager?
Yes, if Mr. Anathan, our budgets director, would come and discuss the item.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commission. Bob Anathan, Budget. This is the third budget amendment of the year, first hearing. Presentation. Going to do a quick presentation. Next slide, please. Next one, please. Thank you. The overview of this recommended budget amendment is, I'll invite your attention to the lower right corner. You can see that we are proposing an increase of city expenditures of $137,581. We're doing that through a combination of events immediately above it. We're talking in total projects of $936,472. Offsetting that, we're identified $603,000 in savings, and we're proposing use of $195,000 of contingency. Invite your attention to the number immediately beneath the 137,000, the 306,081. Reminder that has no impact on the bottom line. That's just moving funds from one fund to another fund. We're going to fund it. I'll ask you to look at the top of that page. The funding of the $137,000 is done through two parts. You'll see that we have revenue reductions of $100,000. That's really the net effect of two grants. We had thought there was going to be a grant of $150,000 related to the trails at Ingram Park. It turns out that we did not get it after all, have to take that out of the budget. But at the same time, we did get a grant for $50,000 for trees, and you'll see that in the detail. So net effect of revenue is down $100,000. To make up the difference, we're proposing to use $237,000 basically on two different projects, which we'll discuss momentarily. So unless there's any questions in regard to this page, we'll take a look at the details that underline the recommendation. Next slide, please. There are a total of 44 line items in here. What I'm going to do is just hit the highlights, bring it to your attention. On the first page, you'll see there, item number 1 is $158,000 for new drainage project, which will be brought to your attention at the next commission meeting. What we're doing tonight is setting up the budget. This does not constitute approval of that project. The next thing of some significance is the GIS license renewal, and that's necessary for the engineering and public works work that goes on in the city. No, if there are no questions, other questions on this one, we'll move on to the next slide. Next slide, please. Several things here. Item number 10, you can see is $36,000. It's the last bill for the installation of the lighting over at Ingram Park. Number 11, $75,000 for unsafe structures. This is has been approved by the County Unsafe Structure Board. We're going through the permitting and other paperwork required to it. Once that's approved, we'll go out for a contractor for demolition. That'll be brought back for your approval. Down at the bottom, $34,000 for disposal fees for illegal dumping. We had a small budget in there. Originally, when the budget was put together, we had understood there was going to be a county program that was going to waive a lot of these fees. It turns out that program really is focused on the residential areas, whereas most of our illegal dumping is in non-residential area. So I have to increase that budget to allow for the tipping fees that go with that. Number 16 is really related to that because a lot of the work that's being done in collecting your illegal dumping is being done by the Public Works Department, and basically because of other work requirements, it requires overtime. So two really go hand in glove. So unless there are any questions on this page, we'll move on. Next slide, please. Two items here very quickly. One, number 19, you can see $51,000 for additional workers' comp insurance. Workers' comp insurance is based on salary levels. When the premiums were put together last year, it was based on a certain salary level. They do an audit after the year end, and it turned out our salary levels were higher. Consequently, we have to add another $51,000 of insurance payments for this year. Number 21, there have been a lot of repair works that the building departments had to address, and just based on the year-to-date rate, it's been necessary to increase that budget. Unless there are any questions, we'll move on to the next slide. 26, 27 really are, I'm just highlighting the fact that we did have very significant vacancies, both the building department and also in code enforcement. And what we're doing here is just reinforcing the contingency line for future use. Down below, grant writing service. The original budget for this grant writing service was $25,000. It's been very successful. The grant writing service has already obtained $8.5 million of grants for us. We want to continue the program through the remainder of the year. We're recommending $35,000. There's been some confusion. This does not mean we automatically give the grant writing service $35,000. What the grant writing service does, it will come in, make recommendations to a certain grant application, indicate the price of it, maybe $3,000, maybe $4,000, possibly $5,000. We'll look at it, agree with it, and go forward. This just creates the budget to allow that type of process to continue for the remainder of the year. One thing I should add is going out tomorrow is a grant request for $10.8 million, which will be covered as part of this $35,000 increase in their budget. If there are no questions on this page, we'll move on to the next to last slide. Next slide, please. Couple things here. The first one, you can see $15,000 for radar speed signs, just as warning signs. We're notified by the county we had some speeding issues that had to be addressed, and that's the way to address it. The water service line repair budget usually is pretty small. During the first half of the year, we did experience a couple rather large ones. It's just necessary to restock that budget just in case there'll be future service line repairs for the remainder of the year. Municipal complex, we have to come back and ask for another $20,000 there to address a fire panel issue, and also there have been several air conditioning failures which have required additional repairs. The elevator renovation 2105 Alabama was presented to the commission before in terms of going out with an RFP. Essentially, the elevator that's in that building, that's the set building, has outlived its usefulness as it is now requires major renovations. Again, this is not approval of the work. This is just to set up the budget. We will go out with an request for bids, come back, and you'll be presented with a recommended contractor. The last one I mentioned at the first page, that there was an increase in grant revenue of $50,000. This is where it's going to be spent. It's going to be 158 trees on Purvis Avenue. Final slide, please. Two last items. As you know, the police department has secured new vehicles over the last 2 years. There's a need to continue that. This will be the $40,000 that goes along with it to fit out those vehicles. Last item, $60,000. I'll talk to it even though it's really clerk's project. We have one rental storage area, which we're paying $16,000 a year on, which is Florida's ceiling full of records that probably go back 3 to 4 decades. This firm will come in, catalog them, itemize what's there, so the clerk can do the necessary retention records, and then we'll destroy those records, and we'll be able to vacate that bay. The price right now is estimated $60,000. Again, this does not constitute approval of this, it just sets up the budget. So we'll come back with a proposed vendor when the proper bidding's been done. That completes my presentation. I stand ready to answer any questions, anything I might have talked about, or anything that might have caught your eye that I went over too quickly.
Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Dominguez.
I know that on February 23rd, the City Commission approved the FY22 budget amendment. I just had an observation and maybe just to find out what is being done to reduce the accrued leave payout for departing employees, because I see that it was $105,000. So what steps are we taking to reduce that for employees that depart or terminated or that have time accumulated?
That is not ready to come back through the mayor, if I may. That's not ready to come back this time. It's recognized as a problem. It has not been fully fleshed out. It has come up in the labor negotiations and it requires additional staff work. It's been left open in the labor negotiations so that we can address that more forcibly.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
So we are working and looking at some goals to address this particular item. Please allow us to put some policies and procedures in place that we can present to the commission.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. I'm looking at the budget amendment number 3, and I see that when I take a look at the funding sources, I see that a lot of it is coming from contingencies and vacancy savings. Can you, I guess, explain or just give us a little bit more detail as to what vacancy savings are? Like, are we talking about positions in departments as well as the contingency? So I know that, you know, by law we have, or by our charter, rather, we have a certain amount that we are encouraged to keep in our reserves. So is this contingency speaking to general fund contingency, or are we tapping into our reserves to fund the purposes outlined in this most recent budget amendment?
I'll just both your points if I may. The vacancies do not eliminate positions. These are positions that were funded for the full year. They have remained vacant at least up to now. And in some cases are projected to remain open. So by the fact that they have been vacant has created savings versus what was anticipated in the budget. And we should just identify their use for other purposes. Right now, we're using $236,000 of vacancy in this budget amendment for that purpose. The contingencies is primarily the general fund. The primary number there is about $154,000 of general fund contingency. Still keeps us up above the $1 million threshold. The way the code is written right now, it recommends starting at $1.1 million, but does allow you to use some of it as you go through the year. So that's the primary sources of this that we're using to fund this budget amendment.
Okay, and I understand the vacancy savings, I guess, is true to date, meaning, you know, we're halfway through the year, so those, you know, positions that remain vacant and ultimately no one was hired, that, you know, obviously there's a savings. I'm of the opinion that because, you know, I was here as well as my colleagues when we set the budget and its priorities, and obviously we budgeted for those positions to fulfill a certain purpose. I would personally like to see, you know, some of those positions filled. Looking at the vacancies, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 line items that are associated with vacant positions that have not ultimately been filled, causing us a saving. So personally speaking, you know, I would like to see, I guess, more progress in that area and hiring folks and that sort of thing. Obviously, you know, we can restructure those line items to fulfill other purposes, but, you know, we set a budget for a reason, and, you know, that was done through consensus of the commission. And yeah, that's just my opinion on it. I, you know, would not like to see so many, lines that are being pulled from, you know, savings due to the vacancies. I would rather have the positions fulfilled. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'm a little concerned under expenditures for grant writing services. I think I brought this to the attention before. When we passed a year ago for the grant writing services, it was $25,000. Now it's at $35,000. I'm not sure, I'm not clear, because if I recall, that was their fee. Their fee was $25,000 for services. So I'm not wondering, how did it go up to 35?
No, ma'am, it was a budget against which they would come back, and each application may be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So the 25,000 set a starting point.
Not to exceed.
Well, not to exceed, but it was not a flat rate for the service. It was creating the budget so that the grant writing service could make proposals as to various grants. When it was originally passed, there was a price list as part of the resolution, just indicating what was going to be charged for each type of grant application. So it's not a flat rate. And the reason, in fact, just full candor, the budget for this year was $25,000. And they have submitted I believe six grants at this point, have gotten $8.5 million for it. But we'd like to continue having those grants submitted. And again, it's done on a per grant basis. So this would take the $25,000 budget originally approved for this year and increase it to $60,000.
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm letting the commission know what was said was does not exceed $25,000. So, you know, it's different now. The presentation for the grant writing service before is a little different now. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes first reading.
Okay. Mr. Manager, your report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As this is my first official commission meeting as city manager, I'd like to say again, thank you to the members of the dais for this opportunity. I want to update you on the first week and our progress that we've made outside of the items that have been on the agenda. Again, as I've always stated, this administration will be about integrity and transparency, and all action taken will be in support of that principle. To the extent I'd like to address some recent hirings that we've had. I am in communication with FDLE. I will be in communication with Miami-Dade County later this month. I'm in communications with the Ethics Department and our own internal affairs. It has come to my attention that we do have some employees that are currently employed with the city that are under investigation. Some for actions that are taken as part of their positions and some that are taken outside as part of their non-work related activities. I have been made the first point of contact should a case be decided to move forward. That includes any employees that have been under rehire. As part of the zero tolerance for corruption, I will be publishing a memorandum from my office to state and inform all employees that if a case is presented to me by any of these agencies, this will be grounds for immediate termination. So this would be official notice and part of any due process returns should anyone have a case that move forward against them. So I wanted to convey that to the members of the dais and also put that on the record for the citizens that may have some concerns. Again, I also have an open door policy for my office. So should that any of the residents have any concerns regarding any actions taken on their behalf or on behalf of this commission, they have the open door policy to speak to me directly. Furthermore, to that extent, I will be establishing a citizens committee, which will meet twice per month, which will allow the citizens direct access to the city manager's office, where I will present full transparency actions that affect them and taken on behalf of this dais or the charter or our ordinance. That will provide them a full opportunity to have discussions on matters that are non-legislative that sometimes make it to the dais and should make for a cleaner committee meeting. Finally, I'd like to announce that I'm also working with Miami-Dade County to move $2.8 million in GLB funds to the city of Opa-locka. Wishing for much success on that. We're making a lot of progress on that, and that should be completed in the next 30 to 45 days. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and welcome on your first commission meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any official board reports?
Madam Mayor, if I can just
Yes.
tag on before you move on to the manager's report and something that we were able to speak on today, I need to announce some executive sessions, if you don't mind. And there are 3 of them, and we'd like to do them. I've checked with the clerk's office on the 27th, April 27th, which would be before the next commission meeting starting at 6 p.m. And these are more of updates, and we can certainly schedule additional executive sessions if necessary. The first one, notice is hereby given that a private closed door session pursuant to section 441.605 Florida statutes will be held in the City Commission chambers, Bundy Village Auditorium, 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, on April 27, 2022 at 6 p.m. or would be moved to an adjoining room. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss the following matter. Union negotiations between the City of Opa-locka and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. The following individuals will attend: Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Taylor, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Dominguez, Interim City Manager Darvin Williams, City Attorney Bernadette Norris Weeks, Assistant City Attorney Sherlon McWhorter, Michelle Austin Pammies, Candace Cobb, and on the record court reporting. The next item is hereby notice that a private closed door attorney and client session pursuant to section 447.605 Florida statutes will be held in the commission chamber, Shabundy Park Auditorium, 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, on April 27th at approximately 6:25 p.m. or soon thereafter. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss the following matter: union negotiations between the City of Opa-locka, and Dade County Police Benevolent Association, also known as South Florida Police Benevolent Association. The following individuals will attend: Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Taylor, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Dominguez, Interim City Manager Darvin Williams, City Attorney Bernadette Norris Weeks, Assistant City Attorney Shalon McWhorter, Michelle Austin Pammies, and Candace Cobb. Finally, notice is hereby given that a private closed door session pursuant to section 286.0118 Florida statutes will be held in the City Commission Chambers, Shabadi Village, Auditorium 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida on April 27th, 2022 at approximately 6:50 p.m. or soon thereafter for the purpose of the meeting to discuss the litigation matter of United States District Court, Southern District of Florida, case number 122 CV 20537, John Pate, plaintiff versus City of Opa-locka et al. The estimated time will be about 10 minutes. And these are noticed meetings pursuant to Florida statutes. And that the persons who will attend the final meeting will be Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Taylor, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Dominguez, Interim City Manager Darvin Williams, City Attorney Bernadette Norris Weeks, Assistant City Attorneys Shalon McWhorter, Michelle Austin Pammies, Candace Cobb, outside counsel for the City of Opa-locka, Christopher Stearns, and Damian Albert on the record court reporting, and the estimated time will be approximately 10 minutes again. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Will you, we're saying the 27th. Are there other options of days, or is it just?
Certainly, if you all have a preference, we were trying to do it prior to the meeting so that you wouldn't be too convenienced, and it's a meeting that you're already coming to for that day. So I think that we'll be able to make the presentations quickly. We can also set another time if you all want, but that was really to give a briefing.
Got it. Okay. So an hour before the meeting.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, an hour before commission.
Yes,
meeting.
ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. Madam Clerk, if you can please send us a meeting invite and let us know to remind us there. Any official board reports? Madam Mayor?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't have any board reports, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any future agenda items? Madam
Mayor.
Commissioner Dominguez?
Thank you. I would like to direct the city manager to expand the way we send out communications to residents about events or news, i.e. via water bill. I know we distribute flyers to school, churches, resident buildings. However, if we had this inside the water bill, we'd have a bigger outcome. I had residents say the day of the bunny jam that we had, that live in the area in the park, that they did not know about the event. And this is something that we've all spoken about in the past. And I spoke about it when I was a resident, and I've never seen, and I've been living here for the past 26 years. And in the past, we would put information inside the water bill. So I don't understand why is it that we cannot do this. So I just want to ask the city manager if he can find a way that we can finally get this through, because residents need to know what's going on in the city and the events, and not through social media, because a lot of them don't follow us on social media. They'll see once they see a picture, say, oh, well, how come I didn't know about it? Well, nobody invited me. So that's just something that we should think about. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Commissioner Dominguez specifically the information that she would like to see in the water bill so that we can see if we can facilitate that.
Okay. As a matter of fact, the previous city manager, I provided a it's like a Newsweek that has been done through Tamarack and Miramar. And I kid you not, there's so much information in there that I doubt that a resident will come up here to ask about an event or what's going on in the city with projects, new businesses or anything like that. I have a copy, so I can go back and give you my copy so you can use it. I don't know, if maybe Shameka has the original, but I have a copy of it, and I know that if everyone sees it, you guys will really approve of it because it has everything you need to know about a city and the events, what everyone is doing, every project that's going on at the city. So I will definitely forward that to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I look forward to receiving that. And it's a perfect, it couldn't be coming at a more perfect time as we have an RFQ for these type of services. So we'll have the opportunity with this flyer, once we receive it, to engage potential vendors and, you know, assess their abilities to get this done for you.
Thank you.
Madam Attorney.
Are we-
Yeah, that's all.
oh,
Is this you're putting this as a future agenda item or just a directive for something that will go into the RFQ when we get a PR firm? And I'm only asking because we've been saying this is a topic that's been, we've said this multiple times for the 2 years that I've been on the board. But technically, this may fit into what the new PR firm would be doing as opposed to outside of what the city would be doing. So you can help me with that.
Right. So Madam Mayor, what this would be, this is the future agenda item section of your agenda. And so your vote would then be for the manager to come back at the next meeting to make a report of how this can be done, what ideas he may have to present to you regarding Commissioner Dominguez's request.
Okay. Need a motion to move the item.
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dominguez. Roll call.
Vice Mayor
Madam
Taylor.
Mayor, before we start, roll call, can I have the opportunity to discuss? I just
sure.
wanted to say
Yes.
something. So since obviously I've been here a little longer, and I know in the past, there's always been the barrier, at least the pushback that we always receive from the manager's office, from returning to including information about, city programs and services within our water bill has typically been the cost. So I know in the past, it wasn't really cost effective and it was very expensive, which is why I think the city at some point moved away from it. I do, share Commissioner Dominguez's same sentiments. I think it's something, obviously that needs to happen. But I will also ask that we, explore other options because I do know the history and do know that the city, obviously had the service for a while and, moved from it. And we actually thought it was a good idea until we, found out the cost and we were like, oh, maybe it's not the best fit for the city, but obviously the manager spoke to the, the RFP. So maybe that can be included in, public relations services and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to just give a little bit of background, and I do support the item, Commissioner. Thank you.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Baz,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Vice Mayor Taylor.
I don't know if this would be considered a future agenda item through the mayor to the attorney. I want us to revisit or bring back legislation. I know we have to do legislation for it, to do the opera process. Because I told you before, we're running out of time. And we've been presented with this last year, earlier this year, and we have not yet moved.
I believe that came up on a prior, in a prior meeting.
Yes.
And so it may be just a question to the manager as to what the status is.
Okay, so my question would be, up to to the manager, what's the status? But if there is no status, then I want to make a motion for him to get that ball rolling. So by next meeting, we have something on the agenda for the opera process. So that's why I said.
You could certainly do that, Vice Mayor. I just don't know if it would be necessary because you all have already done that. So maybe the manager has a response.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll have a response.
I do have a response.
Okay,
So,
yes, Mr. Manager.
thank you. So as a part of my mission for integrity and transparency, I have actually set up one-on-one meetings with all the commissioners. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity before today's meeting to meet with you one-on-one, Vice Mayor, but I'm more than happy to provide an update and on the ARPA funds. So we have until December 24th of this year to allocate and encumber those funds. My office has reviewed the past two plans, well, the past plan from the paid administration to review those designations and see if those are appropriate allocations for the ARPA funds. We will be continue to drill down on those to finally make a recommendation for the commission to review those recommendations for how those funds will be allocated. In addition, within the next 30 days, we'll be requesting to schedule a workshop so that the commission can give us feedback on how the allocations should go forward.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other official future agenda items? Okay,
Madam Mayor,
yes, Commissioner Davis.
thank you. I just want to proffer an item. Obviously, you know, the Kaboom Park, which was a project that was developed by a local nonprofit in the city in partnership with the city. Over the years, you know, that has been a kind of work in progress, and ultimately the community came together to bridge resources to, you know, put a project like that together. You know, since being an elected official and obviously, you know, now being more of, having more of a role in the city, and considering the project's history and, you know, my work and, you know, some of the challenges that we face while developing it, I would, for one, like to see the park, you know, go forward and ultimately, you know, be officially designated as a public and an official park of Miami-Dade County. And I do understand that there are a lot of moving parts to ultimately see something like that into fruition. So I would like to put a motion on the floor as a future agenda item to direct the city manager's office to work, you know, with whatever city departments, the attorney, to basically have that designation completed. So as you know, the park doesn't have, and you know, because you've held several community cleanups there, and you know, the need is definitely there because, you know, we don't have official trash pickup because it's not recognized as an official Miami-Dade County park. So yeah, I would love to see that designation go forward. You know, we appreciate, you know, and I think it's great that you, you know, have took the lead to, you know, beautify these, you know, horrible and deplorable areas in our community. But I think, you know, we definitely need to do something more sustainable down the line because when, you know, when we're not here to press the issue, you know, we still would like to see that park and that site clear and, you know, accessible for the families that live in the area. So, yeah, I just would like to put that motion on the floor to basically designate the Kaboom Tot Lot as an official Miami-Dade County park and working with the manager's office.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would love to move forward on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis, for proffering that item and for just the forward thinking. We know you being the longest member on the commission, and just, you know, thank you for your leadership in that. I would like to say that you're absolutely correct. We have had several cleanups and I do spend a lot of time in that area. because, you know, I spend time in that area. So other than that, you are 100% correct. We definitely need to make sure that we keep our eyes laser focused, not just on a certain area of Opa-locka, but all areas. And that being one, because we know that Magnolia North is going to be the new up and coming area of distinction. And so we're happy to know that. So can I have a motion to pass the future agenda item?
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Davis, second by Vice Mayor Taylor. Roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor.
Yes, but I do want to co-sponsor with you, if you don't mind.
All right, I accept Commissioner Taylor's co-sponsor and any others if they would like.
Mayor Williams,
Yes, and I would like to co-sponsor with you. Thank you. Okay. Mayor Commission reports.
Well, Madam, I'll go first. I'll be real quick.
Vice Mayor Taylor.
I just want to thank everybody that supported, all of the ones that helped bring Saturday together at the Bunny Jam. We was able to service over 200 children with Easter baskets, and it was really hot out there. We had a lot of fun. So I think, and thank you for coming. And those that supported and helped out. Thank you to everyone.
Yes, Commissioner Dominguez.
And you need to thank the photographer too.
Thank you, photographer.
I do have something I'd like to bring. Okay, sorry. I don't know if everyone knows about the Built Better Opa-locka app, but I will highly recommend you to adding this app. I was actually driving in Kasim Street when I looked to the alley on the left side and I saw a pile of tires. My reaction right away was, let me call the city manager. But then I said, I remember having downloaded the app. So I decided to give it a try. All I had to do was just make sure I had my location on, take a picture, upload and answer a couple of questions regarding what was I reporting. Right away, I received 3 days later, the issue was taken care of. So I really would like to thank our IT team for coming up with this great idea, code enforcement, of course, Public Works for getting the job done. The only thing I would suggest is if they would put a before and after picture, so that way we might, you know, kind of encourage people that to see, hey, it looks different, you know, from before and after. Okay, but thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And just to let you know, I had a blast at the Bunny Jam, so thank you. Is it Bunny? Was it Bunny? Oh, enormous Bunny Jam. So thank you, Vice Mayor Taylor and Commissioner Dominguez for that event. And it was great weather, by the way. It was great weather. And as well as the Opa-locka Booster Club. Just want to announce that next Friday, April 22nd, from 10 to 2, I've partnered with the American Red Cross to deliver free smoke alarms to any and all resident in the city of Opa-locka. And also, if you want the smoke alarm installed, the American Red Cross will come to your house and install it. So please, 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 we hope from 10 to 2, you can join us at Helen Miller Center and along with the American Red Cross, so that we can save lives, because you don't, unless you know, like I know, there's been a lot of fires recently. And so we just want to, especially with our seniors, we want to make sure we prevent kitchen fires or accidental fires that they can, you know, that can happen. I also want to just read for the record under our code, under commission powers, section 2.5, number 5, as a board, we can inquire into the conduct of the office, department, or agency of the city and make any investigations as to the municipal affairs. Now, I do know that I am definitely smarter than a 5th grader, and my 3 degrees and soon to be just accepted into a doctoral program tells me that I know how to read. And so we do have that power to inquire. So I just want to put that on record. If there's any other,
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, I have a question.
yes,
I just want to know, just to find out, I was going to ask the Johanna, the clerk, who keeps the calendar for special events? Is it you? Is it Parks? How do we, because I just want to know how we can avoid any conflicts, or because I have an event on May 7th and I just want to make sure that it's booked for that day, because I just want to know who keeps the calendar.
Mr. Manager, would you like to answer the question? Because I
Yes.
myself have an event May 6th.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor and Commissioner Dominguez, currently our office, the city manager's office, is receiving and approving all special events. We can prepare for you a calendar with all projected events so that you can see with full transparency any other events that have been booked by your cohorts and colleagues.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. So what you're saying is we're gonna have a calendar that we can all see who booked what, when, where?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I can deliver that to you as part of our weekly meetings.
Mr. Manager, and can you please share the calendar? There are events that were already approved by the board a year ago previously. So if you can share that calendar, that would be greatly appreciated. And then we can then plug in those events as well, because there are calendared events that were already approved
That's
a
correct.
year ago. Thank you.
That's correct, Madam Mayor. There are a roster that our office abides by of events that were already approved by this commission.
Are there any official board appointments?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So in your package, you will see board applications from Deacon Eugene Stanley for the Community Relations, Recreation and Activities Board. This is an individual appointment. On the back of the agenda, it lists who has an appointment to that board. Also, we have an application for Enya Martinez to the Civil Service Board, and that's also an individual appointment.
Thank you. If Deacon Stanley under Mayor Williams, thank you.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So that will be your individual appointment to the Community
That is
Relations
correct.
Board. Got it.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Through the mayor to the clerk, I have a question as it relates to the Civil Service Board. I see obviously we have two individual appointments that need to be made. Do we have 3 standing members on that board, or can you, I guess, advise as to how many members are
There's a total of 5 members on the Civil Service Board. Each member of the commission has 1 individual appointment. Currently, there are 3 individuals that were appointed to that board, and there's 2 vacancies. One is Vice Mayor Taylor's appointment, and the other one is Mayor Williams' appointment.
Okay. And you said there are 5 appointed? So is that by previous commissioners or the current commissioner?
No,
Just how-
there's a total of 5 members on the Civil Service Board. Currently, there are 3 members that have been appointed, so there's 2
Okay.
vacancies.
Okay. And they don't have a quorum, I guess, to meet. It's not within the bylaws of the board.
So that board has not been meeting. It's been inactive. Per the city code, the manager is to appoint a board clerk. I'm not sure if that has been done at this point.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. For the other applicant, we will review it, we will vet
Fine.
and make sure we'll get back to them.
Madam Mayor? I
Yes.
do have one other, Nikita Nixon. She is currently on the Historic Preservation Board as a city resident. She was appointed as a city resident. She has moved out of the city of Opa-locka. So if the commission wants to consider her as on the basis of civic pride, integrity, experience, and interest in the field of historic preservation, that's up to the commission to decide whether or not they want to, consider her in that area as opposed to a city resident, because she no longer resides in the city of Opa-locka. And that can be considered also if you all would like at a future meeting, or you can make the appointment tonight.
Vice Mayor Taylor?
Does she want to remain on the board?
It is my understanding, yes.
How many seats? So then there will still be a vacant seat for a resident. If we move her
That's
over
correct.
to-
If you move her over to that area, then you would have one vacancy, a city resident vacancy on that board.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to move. her seat.
Nikita Nixon.
Nikita Nixon. Okay.
And I'll second.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's been moved in second. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much, everyone. Just to, in the spirit of former First Lady Michelle Obama, when they go low, we stay high. Thank you. We are adjourned.